Hello again everyone. We have 4 new updates this week. I'm sorry this video is late again. Yesterday I had a bit of an back problem. I couldn't really do much except for sit in front of the TV. And I'm feeling much better now, thankfully. So we have the character model, and this is what you see on the screen is the basic model that I started with. All my creation, I'm very proud of that. You will see the end result soon. We've got a new aim trajectory. We got a weapon indicator which shows where the weapon is to the player. It's a very basic concept. It's not like going around the screen when the weapon is off the screen. I'll show you that in a second as well. And we got a bug fix about the player using the weapon near the walls. We had a lot of issue on that problem. So let's start with the character model. And here in this video you can see me doing the basic shapes, basic model, and I've sized it to be around 1 meter and 70 centimeters tall. Then I've designed the weapon, but unfortunately I've messed up around this part, caused the weapon, the middle of the weapon, to get squished. The plan was to make one wing and copy it to the other sides, but I failed big time unfortunately. So I'll work on that again. We did some UV texturing, very basic texturing, because on Blender I don't really know much about the other programs, unfortunately. And this is all about me working for 2 weeks in Blender, so I'm happy with the results. And here we have the FBX export of the model into Mixamo, and it's really amazing. You can just import your model onto Mixamo. It does an auto rig, and after the auto rig your character comes to life. It's amazing. Basically there are a lot of animations that you can use, and so I import the animations that I want back into Blender, and I did some weight painting, as you can see, and finally I did add some more details to the character with the bands. I painted him a little differently. I've opened up the color a little bit, but my wife said the darker one was better, so I had to do a few adjustments. And then I imported the character into Unity, and here is the final result. We got an idle animation and the second idle animation for the look around, and this frisbee throw attack animation. If we go back to Unity, we have the new aim trajectory system. I've worked on this for quite a while, and here it is. It's very accurate because it's using the physics scene method, and you can see bouncing exactly on the right trajectory. It's hard to show and play at the same time. Oh yeah, we got some nice clothes effects on the bands at the back of his head. The trajectory indicator is just a particle stuff that I picked randomly, so it's not important. I'll change it later, I guess, with better tiny dots that don't stretch out, hopefully. And while we're at it, as you can see, when I throw the weapon, the character has a nice red arrow right here that shows where the weapon is, and it's quite a simple script actually. It's right here. It's just a game object on the player that I've placed in front of the player next to the ground. You can see it here clearly, and this one line script just looks at the position of the weapon, and so just turns around the player. and the weapon bounced back from the wall. I won't be able to catch it. Oh, I couldn't even hit monsters. And I failed to catch the weapon, obviously. We can just drop the weapon with one click on the right joystick. Let's do something like this. And there we go. And that's it. So the next thing that I want to show you is how I made the aim trajectory with the physics scene. If you go into the code right here, you basically create a second physics scene. So you can see that we create a physics scene when I hit play, and we clone these walls into the scene. We also have a second weapon that I called a fake weapon control script here. I needed this because of the way I built the weapon throw and catch system, because I don't instantiate and destroy the weapon. I throw the weapon, I set it inactive, and then I reactivate it on the player, and then I throw it, and so on, to save the memory space in the game. I don't want the game to be too memory heavy. Since this is going to be a mobile game, it's even more important, so I will use object pooling and such on the enemies on the future. But in the physics scene, I can't really use the same mechanic. I have to create a fake weapon, which is right here. We instantiate it and then we destroy it. We basically do the exact same thing to this weapon that we do to the weapon on the original scene. We add some force to it and we just push it out from the joystick's direction. Here on the update method, I just pick the joystick's direction, and if we detect a change in the joystick's direction, we then start the attack simulation. This was very important because normally if you look at the tutorials, they just use a button click to attack, to simulate the attack, or just put it on update, so there are continuous lines on the... That kind of took me a while to figure it out, about a day or two. We also copy the walls. All I need is to show me where the weapon is going and where it's gonna bounce off. If I don't add the walls, it just doesn't bounce off anything, so it just shows me one straight line. And the last thing I want to talk about is the bug fix, which is on the character control script here, the check for walls method that I created. I took this code from Unity's website about the overlap sphere non-analog method. So every time I call the attack method, I check for a sphere around the player, which is about the radius of the capsule collider on the weapon, and then we record the colliders that are in the sphere, and we check for the colliders that are walls, and if we have a wall inside the sphere, the player will just catch the weapon in 0.1 seconds right here. And to demonstrate it, let's go into play mode again, maximize on play. I'm using my mobile phone connected to the PC to play, to show you this, so I can use both joysticks. And normally I can just click and leave the weapon here, and then I can take it back. If I'm next to a wall, basically we just create the weapon and take it back right away. The problem was that you can see it just stuck on the wall and it looks weird. If I just try to throw it, just, I don't know, I didn't like it. So that's it for this week, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.